What does perfect even mean? Is there even such a thing? Ooh, can we switch up all the rules and imagine a utopia?
Hey guys, how's it going? So I'm on day 1 of my road trip and I've already found an excursion that I stopped for. Or rather, I thought about it and the universe brought me here whether I wanted to or not. I saw in the distance this. And my exit was after this. I was supposed to get off at the exit before this one. And my GPS glitched and it was telling me to turn right, and I was confused because I was like, that's not the exit you're telling me. But it turned right anyway. And it led me here. Or it led me to the town that this is in. So yeah. I'm gonna turn you around a little bit. So, funny enough, words are already popping out at me. I keep seeing the word Roxbury, Connecticut, which is funny because I'm connected to Roxbury, Maine. And we're in Vermont. So yeah. This thing is huge. I mean, it's not the Washington Monument, but it caught my attention in the distance. And you want to hear something funny? So I pulled off. I got off the wrong exit. I pulled off. And I stopped at I was just driving down the road. If I take wrong turns, I'm just letting the universe guide me at this point. So I was like, okay, well, I need to get gas anyway. So I look for a gas station so I can go to the bathroom and refill. I didn't find a gas station, but I found a Walmart. So I was like, okay, well, I need to grab a couple of things I forgot to pack. So I went into the Walmart to grab a couple of things that I needed to pack. I forgot my selfie stick in the car. I'm regretting this now. So I'm at Walmart, I grabbed a couple of things, I set my GPS for here, figure out what this is. I looked it up and found it in the GPS and brought me here before I go back on my normal route that I was headed. And what would luck have it, but the car that was right in front of me that pulled up to the monument to go into the monument right before me had Arizona plates. Wouldn't you know it? Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of 4s and 1s and 7s. A lot. As I say that, I didn't look at this mailbox before I said that, I swear. Can't make this shit up, guys. So yeah, this is my first vlog entry of my journey. For those of you who don't know, because this is my first time recording on this trip, I am Jasmine, aka Lunar Peacock, and I am on a journey across the country right now. I left this morning, Sunday, the 22nd, and I'm headed for Arizona, and I'm letting my intuition guide me on this trip, so there's no wrong turns. Because, yeah, my wrong turn here, and I would not call that a wrong turn. How cool is that? Even if it was just for a quick leg stretch, needed. And, yeah, back on the road. See you guys when I stop for the night. I don't know where that's going to be yet, because I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to drive. I'd stop and get gum. My ears wouldn't pop. That would drive me nuts. I don't usually chew gum, so hopefully I won't be doing much chewing in the future videos to get to flatter ground. And I'll have my selfie stick next time, so there's not so much bobbing. Sorry. Alright. I'm off. Bye. Everybody, this is my road trip diary vlog, I guess is what I'll call it. It's a mouthful. I am tired. This is the end of my first day. It's what time is it? It is 10:30. I just parked at 10, so I've been sitting here for about 30 minutes. Putting all my window shades up, as you can see. All of my windows are covered, so nobody can see in my car. I am very tired, so this is going to be a very slow-paced but short video, because I just want to crawl in the back and go to sleep so I can get back on the road first thing in the morning. Bug keeps crawling on me. Go away. No, thank you. So, today was long. I had planned to try to drive for 12 hours on my first day so I could get through as much of New England as possible, because I've already seen quite a bit of New England, so it's nothing new for me. I ended up making it as far as Pennsylvania, is where I currently am. I have been driving for 11 hours today. I did not quite make it 12 hours. I left a little bit later than I intended. I planned originally to leave earlier in the morning and park before nightfall, but I didn't end up leaving until 11 a.m. because I didn't want to leave my husband. I wasn't quite ready yet, so I kind of dawdled a little bit. And it's been a very emotional day. This vlog is going to capture all of my everything that I'm going through on this trip, I guess. Today was not so bad. I wasn't sure what to expect for today. I don't want to put pressure on myself as to what I expect of myself during this journey. I'm just kind of letting it come as it comes. And the first day, when I first left, I felt a lot of emotions at once. I felt sad because I was leaving my husband and my children for the first time for this long. I think the longest I've gone without seeing them has probably been 3-4 days tops. So this is a long go without my family. So I felt a lot of sadness for leaving them behind, but I also felt a lot of love and support and so much gratitude, because the outpour of support for my day of leaving has been just... I was bawling. I will put it that way. I'd stopped at the ATM to deposit my cash into my bank account so that I wouldn't have cash on me, or not much cash on me at least, for the driving portion of this trip. And when I was at the ATM, I parked really quick to stop and check my messages and set up my GPS before leaving. And I just, the donations that have been coming in and the support and love from my soul family, sharing my story and asking for support from their friends has just been very emotional. I've never felt so supported, and I'm very grateful. I've also been feeling very proud, because there's been a couple of times that I have second guessed doing this. There's been a couple of times I've almost changed my mind because of not anything anybody else has said, but just my own fears. Anytime anybody has said anything about it not being a good idea or about them not wanting me to go, I haven't really let it faze me. Honestly, anytime anybody has said that I shouldn't go or that they don't think it's safe, it's actually made me want to go more just to prove them wrong. Which, that's just who I am. I'm not going to let fear control me. And that's part of this trip. This trip has many, many purposes behind it. It's to help me process and release a lot of lifelong trauma that I've been carrying. Nothing like seriously huge, just childhood trauma. Most people have childhood trauma from different things. I don't carry any blame for anything or any resentment for anything. I'm just trying to unlearn patterns at this point that I still carry, and start new routines that, no matter how hard I try to start new healthy routines at home, it's really difficult to do in my current living situation with kids home all the time and homesteading and just so many things and responsibilities. And so I'm hoping that I can establish a healthy daily routine, both morning and nighttime routines, while I'm away, so that when I come back, I'll have it ingrained in me a little easier, and it'll hopefully be easier for me to continue that. I'm also, I'm just going to leave the light off, guys. Just, you can hear me. That's all you need. The car's just had a long day. It needs to rest. So I'm also in the process of, I don't want to say processing grief or healing my grief, because that's, I talked to a good friend of mine recently who told me that to look at grief in a different way, and to look at it as it's evolving with me. I'm evolving. My grief and I are evolving together into the next stage. So I'm in the process of learning how my grieving for my daughter is currently going to play a role in my life. For those who don't know, I have lost a child. I had a 5-year-old pass away of cancer 12 years ago, and she underwent a year of treatment before she passed away. And it's a huge part of me, as you can imagine. And I don't talk about it a whole lot because I don't like getting the pity, which most parents that have lost a child understand, I'm sure. Or anybody that's lost anybody, probably, honestly. I don't like to have people feel bad for me because of it, because it was a huge thing to go through that was not pleasant, obviously, but it also has made me a much, much better person in many, many ways. I'm not going to delve into that in this video. Most people understand that know me, how I have put that grief into positivity in my life. I have done a lot of things in the name of my daughter to make the world a better place, to help me with my grief, at the very beginning of her passing at least. And then as the years have continued, the grief transformed from acts of service and community service and donation towards the pediatric cancer community. It transformed from that over the years into me kind of just not talking about it, in all honesty, if I'm being honest with you. The first few years after she passed away, I really delved into community service in her name. And then as we lost support, because I don't know why, honestly, but we just kind of lost support in the community that we were building over time, and I just kind of stopped because I felt like that was the end of that chapter, and that was fine. Team Izzy was an amazing thing that I created while I had it, and I honor that part of my life because it fulfilled me, and it helped heal, and it gave back. So after that, I just kind of didn't do anything with my grief. I just kind of accepted and sat with it, and it just was kind of dormant for a while. And recently it's reawoken, and I think it's ready to play a part in my life again in a different way, and I'm learning what that is at the moment. I'm not sure yet. I think I'll know when I get to Arizona somehow. We'll see. We'll see where it takes me. One thing I will share that is part of what's leading me to Arizona, when my daughter was sick, she was collecting postcards, and she was trying to collect one from every state in the country. And she got postcards from all over the world. I don't think she ever accomplished getting every state, as I just kind of started filing them away, and I don't believe every state is there. But she has other countries, and I'd started filing the postcards that she got into protective sleeves that can go in a binder right after she passed away. And I stopped at Arizona because all the postcards I alphabetized, and I started putting them away in alphabetical order, and I had stopped at Arizona. I was right in the middle of Arizona when I stopped, and I just got more postcard sleeves so that I could do them all. And when I went back to pick it back up again 12 years later, I realized I had stopped at Arizona, and I just found it funny because I'd already started getting the call to Arizona before that, and it was just kind of one of those affirmations that I keep getting that I'm supposed to go to Arizona, and I just keep getting called there. I don't know why. I know that the journey itself is part of it. The journey to Arizona is part of the healing process, to take this time to think and cleanse and let go. And and then when I get there, I'm not sure. I feel like I'm gonna find something that's gonna give me answers, and I am going for many reasons. I'm going because I'm called to the vortexes for healing. I'm called there for work reasons. I feel like I'm going to find something there that's going to help me expand in my business. And then I'm also going for family reasons. I'm looking for another home because as much as I love Maine and I love my soul tribe that I have in Maine, I don't feel like Maine is the place that I should be all the time. I feel very called to travel a lot. I feel very called to go wherever I'm called to go. And I don't know where that's always going to be. Right now it's Arizona, but I don't know where it's going to be after that. It could change. But I feel very called to not be in one place all the time. I've never felt like I should be in one place all the time. I always get restless after a couple of years, no matter where I am, I've noticed. And I think that's just my soul telling me I'm not meant to sit still for very long. And I've been ignoring that my entire life. I have felt the call to leave Maine and felt the call to travel and not sit still. But every time I've had the opportunity, something stops me. Either someone talks me out of it, or someone tells me it's a bad idea, that it's too scary, that I shouldn't go by myself, or I get a partner that doesn't want to leave the state of Maine and wants to stay here, so then I stay here because my partner wants to be here. The only time I've ever moved out of Maine was I briefly lived in New Hampshire for a short time, and actually I really enjoyed living in New Hampshire for that time, and I would have stayed there longer had the relationship not broken up. But I like to relocate a lot. I like to change my scenery a lot. I don't like to stay in the same place for very long. I feel stagnant if I stay in the same place for too long. But at the same time, I like to have a home to come back to. So Maine's always going to be my home, but I feel like I'm not a person that's going to have just one home. I feel like I'm going to have a place that's going to have many homes. So Arizona is going to be one of those homes, and I'm going to find my next home so that me and my family can have either a second home for the winter time, or an RV parked at a campsite for the winter down there, or like, I'm not limiting myself to anything. I'm trying not to put plans in place or expectations in place. I'm trying to leave this as open as possible for the universe to just give me what I need and what my family needs in this moment. And I'm hoping when I get down there, I'm just going to figure it out, and I'm going to be drawn to something that's going to give me answers. So this trip has many, many, many reasons behind it. Also to prove that I don't need anybody to take care of me. I have lived with my parents until I was 17, and then I moved out into my boyfriend's parents' house at the time, and then it's just from that point on, it's been living with either partners' parents, partners' grandparents. The only time I lived alone was I briefly lived by myself in between two relationships in my parents' house, or in my dad's house, after he moved out, because it was being foreclosed on and they moved, so there was still time that we had the house briefly, but I don't think that was long. I think it was like maybe a month or two. And I had a boyfriend at the time who was coming and staying with me every once in a while, so I wasn't completely alone, and he did financially support me. And then after that, I again lived briefly by myself after my first marriage ended, but I had a toddler, or infant at the time, toddler. I had a toddler at the time, and I was pregnant. So even though he moved out, I still lived with my son, and then eventually my daughter too. So even that wasn't ever alone. So my experience of being alone has not been very much. I was single for 1 year between my divorce and my current marriage. And like I said, that 1 year I was living with my son too. So it's been a long life of long-term relationships. It's been one long-term relationship after another, because I usually commit pretty solidly to my relationships, and I don't usually give up on them very easily. It usually takes a lot for me to walk away. I usually put in my all before I give up. So most of my relationships have been pretty long. This one I'm currently in, I'm on year 9. And we've had issues, but we're working through them and growing together, and we're at a point in this relationship that I've never experienced in a previous one before. We're past the honeymoon phase, but we're at that point where we're at the point where most couples would have broken up by now, I would say. We're at that point where we're really triggering each other. We're not getting the butterflies anymore. We're not, the kids are exhausting us every day. So, we're at that point in the marriage where most people are like, okay, this is more work than it's worth. I'm out. but we are working through it. We are still growing. We're still learning from each other. So long as we're both putting in the work and we're both trying to improve and be better for not just each other but ourselves, then I will stick it out and I will make it work as long as I can. I am very clear on any relationship that so long as my growth is not being held back by my partner and I'm happy, then I will remain and work on the relationship. So long as my happiness is not, so long as I'm happier more often than I'm unhappy, I should say. Because you're not always going to be happy in a relationship, obviously. That's high standards to set on a relationship, to expect somebody to always keep you happy. That's a little bit needy at that point. But so long as I'm more happy than unhappy, that's all I ask for. And my ratio hasn't been so well lately, which is part of why I've gone on this trip. I need to find my happiness again, and I think part of it is stagnancy in my relationship, and the other part is stagnancy in my life, in most areas of my life. And I needed a change. I needed something to change. I just felt like I was stuck in the same cycles being repeated. So, yeah. So that's a lot of backstory for this video. I'm going to talk a little bit about today's adventure before I cut this video for the night. I'm going to try to make a habit of doing this every single night before I go to bed. This is my diary. This is my journal. And I don't want to write, honestly. I'm sick of writing. My hand hurts from writing so much lately. And my penmanship is crap. So I can't even read what I write when I go back to look at it half the time. So this is easier for me, and I feel like you guys need to know what this journey is about for me, because I feel like this is going to inspire others to maybe step out of their comfort and conquer their fears and grow as well. And it might not be the same for everybody. I'm not saying I'm trying to get everybody to like leave their husbands for a month and travel across the country for a month. It's going to be different for each person. It might just be a weekend retreat for some people, or it might be just, doing something that you've always put off because everybody tried to tell you it's too scary, or maybe you just thought it was too scary. So I'm hopefully inspiring people by making this public. I've been called to make it public. So today's journey, as I said, I traveled 11 hours. I started in Maine, my home, and I originally started with it being, my GPS being toll-free and highway-free, which, toll-free, yeah, I'm saving a lot of money staying off the toll highways. And the toll highways tend to be the ones that have more lanes in them, which I'm not a fan of more than 2 lanes. 3 I can handle. 3 is not so bad. I usually stay all the way to the right anyway. But once you get more than 3 lanes, I really start to get uncomfortable, especially if you got a lot of ramps coming in, because then you can't really stay in the right lane because you got to keep getting out of the way for people to merge in. So once it gets to that point, I just stay over a lane, and I don't like having people on either side of me. It makes me very anxious. I'm hoping I'm going to overcome that anxiety the more that I drive, but I'm still very anxious when I've got cars on either side of me, so I usually just stay over to the right. But I realized about a couple hours into my drive that I had left the same route, taken back roads, and come back to that same route again later multiple times. And it hit me that by putting it to avoid highways, it wasn't just avoiding like large highways, it was avoiding like all highways, like even like small highways out in the woods. So I had to change my GPS because it was really taking me out some back roads to avoid driving on this highway that wasn't that bad. So I took it off avoid highways, and when I did that, it like took an entire day off of my drive. So yeah, So we went back onto highways, but we're avoiding tolls still. I have taken a few turns that were not accurate on the GPS. I'm not going to say that I took wrong turns, because I've literally, every time I've taken a turn that wasn't according to the GPS's directions, I have found myself in a place that either I discovered something or I needed something. I will give examples. The first one that I accidentally took, I had seen an obelisk sticking up over the trees in the distance on the highway, and I was drawn to it, and I was like, ooh, an obelisk, that's cool. And I'm familiar that certain shapes create certain energy frequencies. So yes, obelisks carry an energy. So I was, of course, drawn to it, and I unintentionally got off the wrong exit and ended up in the town that obelisk was in, which was cool. So I parked in a Walmart parking lot to regather my bearings, because, of course, I got a little bit anxious because I took a wrong turn. I won't call it that anymore. I took an inaccurate turn from the GPS. And I got a little anxious because I'm used to going off route and then panicking because I've got to figure out how to get back on course again. But I get to keep reminding myself on this journey, there's no wrong turns, there's no wrong answers. If I take a turn that's not on the GPS, I'm going to go with it, because there might be something down that road that I was supposed to see, or somebody I'm supposed to meet, or something I should experience. So we take whatever turns that I take. And when I took that turn and I ended up in the parking lot, I needed to take a minute to breathe, and it's been very hot today. The weather has been difficult for me to travel in because it's been very humid and muggy and hot, and it's been like it's been pretty steadily 80 degrees all day, even with the rain off and on. And it's just, I'm cooking in my car right now because I've got all the windows up, but I don't want the windows down while I'm vlogging. So I've got some mosquito nets I'll put over the back windows and crack them a little bit tonight. But yeah, I'm feeling a lot of energies moving. I parked in the parking lot at Walmart, and I went inside because I realized I forgot a couple of things that I needed. Kitchen tools for cooking. So I went into Walmart and I got a couple of things that I needed that I'd forgotten, and I had to get some gum because my ears wouldn't pop because I've been going up and down mountains all day, because New Hampshire, Vermont, and New York are very mountainous states. So I've been up and down mountains, and my ears would not pop, and it was driving me nuts. So I had to go get gum to chew, because that was what I do when I go on airplanes, when my ears won't pop. So it worked. I got my ears to pop finally for chewing gum. So now I've got gum in case that happens again. I'm very excited for flat driving, so I don't have to deal with that anymore. Went into Walmart, got that stuff, and sorry if this is TMI for the guys, the girls I don't think are going to care, but I realized when I went into Walmart that my period had started. But I think that's my body releasing early because it needs to purge and release, because I started my journey that was supposed to be to help me purge and release, and that was my body kind of syncing up with my energy, basically. So it's right on schedule for itself, it's just not with the moon anymore. So that's fine. I'm sure I'll sync back up with it at some point. But yeah, I started, which I wouldn't have known if I hadn't stopped at Walmart, because I was going to just keep on driving. I didn't have to pee. I didn't need to use the restroom. I've been sweating as much as I've been drinking, so I haven't really needed to pee today. I have been hydrating. I've been chugging down my water, and I've got a tea over here that I'm working on. But yeah, I haven't been needing to pee, but I went to the bathroom anyway because, you know, like you tell your kids, empty your bladder when you have a bathroom nearby because you don't know when you're going to have another one. So I emptied my bladder, and that's when I discovered I'd started bleeding, and I didn't know because it was so light that I hadn't noticed yet. I was like, oh, well, that was ideal timing. I had my supplies with me, so I could take care of it. But I was like, oh, that I wouldn't have known, and I would have, you know, ruined my underwear again. So that was great. That I stopped right when I needed to, like literally the moment I needed to. If I'd waited more than a couple minutes, I would have ruined my underwear. So that couldn't have been any better timing. And then we put in the GPS a new stop. We added the obelisk to the stop because it was only 5 minutes from the Walmart I stopped at. So we went and checked out the obelisk. And so numbers I've been seeing along the way, a lot of my ones. I always see my ones when I'm on the right path. So, of course, I've been seeing my ones. Lots of 4s and a lot of 7s. And I don't normally see 7s. This is a new one for me. I see 4s a lot, but I don't normally see 7s. So this is kind of cool that I'm starting to see some new numbers repetitively, like lots of them in a row kind of thing. So when I pulled up the road that the obelisk is on, I pulled behind a car that had an Arizona plate. I shit you not. That we pulled into the same parking lot. They got out right before me. It was an older couple. They had Arizona plates. I pulled a couple spots over from them. But I just found it funny that I'm going to Arizona and I got called to stop and see this obelisk. And then I pull in beside somebody or behind somebody that's from Arizona. And then as we're walking around and I'm vlogging, I'm telling you guys in my vlog, hey, I've been seeing these numbers along my way. And as I do that, I shit you not, I look over and there's a mailbox, the number 7 on it. And I had just finished saying, oh, I've been seeing a lot of 7s. And I look over and there's a 7. I'm like, are you kidding me? So that was interesting. Got back to the car and then I took off. And then I've seen the name Scott twice. So that was interesting. So I try not to look for, I try not to look for things. I try not to be constantly looking at signs and looking at addresses and looking at street numbers and stuff like that. I'm trying to just think and focus on things that come to me. I've been listening to a playlist that I put together for the road trip, and I went through my entire playlist in the first day. I've already listened to the entire thing twice through, I believe. I've heard every song at least once, because now I'm hearing things 2 or 3 times. So I've gone through my whole playlist that I put together for the road trip in the first day. So if you have any suggestions for songs for my road trip, please put them in the comments below. I am in the mood to hear things that are sunny, make you think of summer and sun and happy and bright and cheery and driving. So if you got songs that make you think of that, the only genre I don't really listen to is rap. Other than that, I like everything. I gravitate more towards folk, indie, not mainstream at all. I don't really like much mainstream anymore. Reggae. I love reggae. I've got a lot of hip abduction on my playlist. A lot of iration. But yeah, stuff of that nature. Classic rock. Yeah, it's not much I don't like. So, yeah, if you guys have suggestions, let me hear them. The second time I got pulled off my route on my GPS was I made another wrong turn, or I took an exit that wasn't on the GPS because I was reading it wrong again. And when it happened the second time, I ended up at a gas station and I needed gas, so it worked out great. I was like, oh, well, that worked out. I got gas, got back on the highway. It's been a long day. I took a couple of turns that led me to things. I saw an obelisk that was really cool. And now I'm parked for the night. And I'm tired. And I'm not feeling emotional at the moment. So I don't feel the need to do a whole lot except for get ready for bed. So thank you for joining me for my first day in my car. And you probably won't get a first video vlog for at least a few days out for traveling because I gotta drive. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Night.